Hi, this is Sarah, and this is the first in a series of videos for my postpartum recovery tips. We're going to be looking at different aspects of postpartum period in terms of physical healing tips and also more mental and emotional ones too. So today I'm just taking like a brief overview of mental health after birth. This is something that can vary so wildly between different people, regardless of the situation, regardless of if you've had a traumatic birth or what you class as a straightforward birth. Like mental health is such a complex issue in itself, and I'm not a qualified medical professional. So, the first thing I would say is after having a baby, if you are feeling like something is not right and you're struggling to the point where you're very emotional, crying all the time, and you just feel like something's not right, then always definitely get in contact with somebody, whether it's a health visitor or your GP. And I know after you've had a baby that getting in touch with like medical people can be really overwhelming and really be a difficult thing to do. And I'll be kind of talking about some of the reasons why that might be in a few minutes. I think when it comes to mental health after having a baby and some of the thoughts and feelings that can arise, because they're not always thoughts and feelings that we just have every day after this massive change, we have thoughts and feelings that maybe are pretty scary to us, that they're actually coming into our heads. And to really sort of go to what can potentially be a kind of stranger, medical. You might know your GP to a certain degree, but in some ways they're kind of a stranger. And to go to somebody like that with these really personal and kind of scary thoughts and feelings is a really big jump and a really big ask. So you've got that side of things weighed up with the other side of things, which is, if you are struggling and you know that you need help, then it's getting that help and overcoming those feelings of resistance to go and seek that help and get the help that you need, which is a really big thing to do. And part of the reason I set up Empowered Mothers Network is that we have facilities where we're bringing together new mums in more of a safe space and to be like vulnerable, which is what I'm going to talk a bit more about in a minute. And then from there, we can also assist new mums who may be finding it a bit harder to approach, say, a health visitor or a doctor, but we can maybe help facilitate that connection so that the mum is getting the proper help that she needs. If you've had some mental health issues in the past to deal with and you've had that experience of finding out the sort of things that maybe trigger an episode or particular life strains that you react in a certain way and then you see that reaction after you have a baby, you might have just these little indicators and red flags and be a bit more aware of them. However, mental health issues in mums can occur even if you've never had any problems, any mental health issues, any problems with anxiety, anything like that ever before in your life. And on one side of things, that's not entirely surprising because of the massive change that occurs. Just biologically as a person, as a new identity, becoming a mother, and also suddenly having to look after another human being. And although things are changing for the better, it's often that the mother has an extreme bulk of the mental load to take on. I should probably say as well here that postnatal depression doesn't just affect the mum; it can also affect the partner or the father too. Something really useful to do after you've had a baby is to kind of practice like mindfulness. So being more observant of your thoughts and what you're thinking and when things creep in, what is that voice in your head telling you? And that can be really, really difficult, I know, because you've got like lack of sleep, baby crying. And again, this being mindful of your own thoughts doesn't have to be perfect by any means. But if you use it as a tool to maybe when you do then notice thoughts coming in and they're thoughts that are you feel those aren't quite right, those aren't sitting well, that can be a point where you think, okay, well, I might need some help then. Not necessarily like, that's it, I need to get to the doctors and get on medication straight away, but maybe just the thought of, okay, I'm having these thoughts, so maybe it's time to seek either a bit more support from my partner or friends or family or anybody else that you feel comfortable with. So something that's quite common after just after having a baby is this kind of euphoric feeling. So it's kind of a feeling like I can do it all, I can do everything. I feel like superwoman for the first day or two. Maybe it's hammed on by sleep deprivation, but you often get this feeling of just, I've just given birth to somebody. I could take on the world right now. I could do anything. And I think a lot of us women get in this trap of feeling that euphoric feeling, like feeling amazing and thinking, oh, great, that I'm not having any problems here. This is going really well. And then it's about 3 days or so in when you suddenly crash. And again, don't forget the hormone levels after you've given birth. You've got hormones all over the place, massive drops occurring, and it's just such a biological change that then fuels the extreme emotions, and it does feel a bit like being on a roller coaster sometimes. And I think if you're not aware of this kind of emotional change that happens, it can really take you by surprise, and that's when the thoughts can start creeping in of, whoa, this is what's wrong with me. I feel like a failure. So this is definitely a time when maybe you can kind of observe and see that it's happening, or maybe you can't because you're knackered and full of hormones all over the place. So maybe perhaps your partner would be able to recognize it more. And at that time, it's so important to be like really, really, really extra self compassionate. So, like, I'm not going off about saying about like going off and having a bath and painting your toenails. I mean, like, you've got to treat again yourself like you would treat your newborn, with that level of care and compassion. Because in a way, you're a newborn yourself, either becoming a mother for the first time, even if it's, second, third, fourth time. So in the early days and weeks, it can be really useful if you do have a partner or other people close to you, just to kind of work together with them to spot any like red flags. Feelings like being tired, cranky, irritable, anxious, down are normal. Well, I say normal, they shouldn't have to be normal, but they are, pretty common feelings to be feeling at that time.